To factor and simplify cotangent squared x minus cotangent squared x cosecant squared x, let's start by looking at the problem before we dive in. We notice there's two terms, and both of them have cotangent squared x minus cotangent squared x. So let's start by trying to factor out the cotangent squared x. Now be careful here. The cotangent squared x does not go away. We're left with 1. Now we take the cotangent squared out of the left or the right term, and we have cosine squared x. Now, when I notice this term, the second term, I see that I have a cosine squared and a 1. You should immediately think of the trig identity sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. Okay, now I notice the term is 1 minus cosine squared x. I have a 1 on the right. Let's subtract cosine squared x from both sides, giving me sine squared x equals 1 minus cosine squared x. Okay, and I notice the right-hand side exactly matches my second term. So I'm going to replace the second term by the sine squared x, since they're both equal. So I'm going to have cotangent squared x times sine squared x. Okay. The next thing we want to do is to always get into our basic elements, sine and cosine. Here I have cotangent, and I know that tangent, let's see real quick. I know that tangent is equal to sine over cosine. Okay. So then cotangent is the reciprocal. So that's going to be cosine over sine. Don't try to memorize, just realize, okay, I know tangent, cotangent is the flip. Okay, so if cotangent x is cosine over sine, then cotangent squared would be cosine squared x over sine squared x. And I still have my sine squared x up top. Okay, now I have cosine squared x times sine squared x divided by sine squared x. Sine squared x over sine squared x is simply 1. Don't think of it as going away. It doesn't just go away. Sine squared x over sine squared x is 1. So cosine squared x times 1 gives me cosine squared x, and you are done.